Hey, what's up? Continuing with the 10 movies you can see on YouTube, horror films that I think are underrated or maybe not the usual that you see around. And we have this film here, The Oblong Box. Now this version is a little, what's the word? It's there's a little time lapse on it, I guess you'd say. But the Oblong Box, there's something about this film. It was the film that Michael Reeves was supposed to direct, and he died. And it has Christopher Lee and Vincent Price is in it. Christopher Lee's in it for a little bit. Price is sort of like the guy you think is the hero. It's a very bleak film. It's there are no heroes in it actually. Everybody is a villain. Everyone's guilty. There's some horrific things in it. There's a little colonial guilt aspect of it, but not. It's not really that much. And it's just really there's a lot of especially the ending too. The ending is Edgar Allan Poe. I mean, the Oblong Box, the actual story is not. It has nothing to do with that, but it's a pretty good gothic tale. Like I said, it gives like a really kind of feeling of bleakness in it. Like the universe is, it's just this hopeless, evil place where the worst horrible fate you can imagine. There's even greater fates than that, and that's the oblong box. And maybe let's see, I'll play a trailer, so I'll make this visually interesting. Oh yeah. Oh, oh, it's problematic.
My
Yeah.
brother Edward has died.
Where is he going to be buried?
As soon as you found another body.
Do you realize the penalty for body snatching is hanging?
You were a forger and an embezzler, and now you're going to become a body snatcher.
Price is amazing.
To assist you in your experiments.
Yeah. Oh, the repressed Victorian days.
Waking up in that horrible oblong box. No air to breathe, every shovelful raining down on the lid.
God, Trench, do you know what that means? It means that my brother was buried alive.
Oh. AIP. Yeah, man. Ooh, Elvira. Such nice accoutrements she has. I love those old trailers. Oh,
Which is syndicated nationally.
what was this?
And just perfect for
Oh,
tonight.
David
Please
Brenner.
welcome-
Anyway, let's get back on point here. Great film. Oblong Box. Very dark, sinister film that is just, I don't know. It made when I saw it as a kid, it made me feel very uneasy afterwards. Okay, so what else we got? Okay, we're gonna get into some kaiju, but not really. War of the Insects. They say it's a science fiction disaster film. It's an apocalyptic horror film by Shochuku Studios, the people that made a lot of those Masaki Kobayashi movies, like The Human Condition, and also Harry Kiri, another film he did. But I'm not going to get into samurai films. That's actually my favorite. It's like an anti-samurai film. Oh, but War of the Insects, very anti-American film too, which is up my alley. So we'll go with the trailer here. So I can show you. Shochuko, yeah. They made The Black Lizard too, which is a crazy campy film. Now this is a misnomer. This is not. This is from another film. This basically is about insects of the planet Earth decide that now that humanity can wipe out the planet with nuclear weapons, they're gonna do a preemptive strike. There's actually a cool scene where the consciousness of the insects is translated into human language, and basically they say one word: genocide. And the only miniature work you get is that jet and I think maybe a building. So there's no giant bugs, but it's a really grim film. That guy from Gamma, the black dude's in it. There's Vietnam references in it. It's just really, there's commie agents, but the real bad guys are the Americans. And there's the evil Gaijin scientist. Like I said, this is the trailer. Really good film, very dark, from my secular Calvinist self. Right, and you see that scene? Okay, I'm not gonna lie, that scene is not in the movie. Okay, that scene with the giant bug is not in the movie, and I was a little disappointed when I saw it, but this is the full movie, and it's dubbed into English by the guys who did the Kung Fu voices for Shaw Brothers, so it's kind of cool. War of the Insects. Maybe more of a science fiction film, but it's a pretty bleak, dark film. Moving on. The Golem. Now, I want you need to watch the most famous version, the only intact version, the 1920 version of the Golem. Paul Wegener plays the Golem, kind of like the Hulk, kind of like Frankenstein. And he directed too, so you can imagine this guy, this huge guy wearing this costume, directing everybody at the same time. But the special effects in the Golem are amazing. Obviously, it's about the Prague ghetto in the I guess early to middle ages, and the Golem is created to protect the people of the ghetto. And it's very interesting. They didn't use miniatures. They made an actual kind of a life-size little city, a wall, because the ghetto was protected by a wall that the denizens can come in and out as they pleased, amongst other things. Of course, the scene where the rabbi brings up the Golem and creates him, really amazing scene that was redone later in F.W. Murnau's Faust. But we're gonna focus on the Golem. Interesting film on many levels. If you know what I'm getting at. And the ending is kind of funny. The way the Golem is defeated is kind of funny. And also I recommend you watch the original Golem was actually like a modern horror film from 1915 with Paul Wegener playing the Golem, looking a little different, rampaging around in modern day times, or modern day 1915 times. There's only about 4 or 5 minutes of it left, but watch that. That's the first kind of horror film with a monster on the rampage, really. And it was found recently, which is like finding these old films, even just bits and pieces of them, is like gold, is like cinema gold. So, and Paul Wegener, very talented director. Watch the film. It's really good. Of course, all the German silent horror films are amazing. Okay, here we go now. Martin, George Romero's film. What can I say about it? Very relevant for our times. Yeah, you like hearing that, right? Is he a vampire? Is he not? Is he just a screwed up kid? You'll never know, but you do see the old 1970s Pittsburgh area and how run down this steel town was. And it's a lot of interesting things that fits into the themes I've been talking about with decadence. George Romero plays a priest in the film. You get to hear his Bronx accent, when he talked like this. Different from mine, actually. It actually was a Bronx accent. But you get to see George Romero as a priest in there. Even Tom Savini as a boyfriend of this kid's sister or cousin. And, of course, the old man who you think it's crazy, but it's not so crazy. Just check out the film, and this is a really good copy too. Let's see. Yeah. And of course, you see how beautiful these women were in the 70s. And I think that was George Romero's wife going by. This is actually, in my opinion, this is his masterpiece. Martin. There he is. John Amplis, he was in Day of the Dead. He was the scientist with the beard. But here he is. Yeah. You'd say it's a goth film, but this character, the kid, is he's very unlikable and creepy. Just watch this film, really good, and the ending is very ironic and comes out of nowhere. So, all right, so we're almost done here. It's Blood on Satan's Claw, originally an anthology. This is a horror film taking place in the aftermath of the English Civil War. A lot of doom metal bands kind of did like a riff on this. This is like the quintessential, as they say, folk horror film of England. And like I said, it was supposed to be an anthology originally with 3 different horror stories, and they kind of just ditched it and just made it one film, basically about a demon cult in England in the 1600s, slowly taking over a town, taking over the young women particularly. And this guy, he finds the carcass of this demon that begins this evil. And that's the guy from Dracula Has Risen from the Grave. Remember Paul, the atheist student? You know, in the scene where he's like, you know, when the priest tell him, read the words, he's like, yo, priest, you read it. You know, you read the words, because he's an atheist. Remember that guy? That's the same actor. So, and he's sort of the hero, but he gets his ass kicked pretty much. But the atmosphere of this film, like I said, it's 1600s England, really creepy. The music is great, synthesizer music, the quintessential native English horror film, Blood on Satan's Claw. And at the end, it's great because, you know, with all the evil and debauchery that happens, it shows you what, in the end, what you got to do to deal with such things. And what's his name? Richard Widmark's in this. He played Cromwell in Which Find the General. Oh, that's what the remnants of the demon right there. Maybe it's old Nick himself, but yeah, Richard Widmark's in this film. He's like the Grand Inquisitor. So look at that. Tygon, one of the smaller British competitors to handle. Look at that shot. There you go. And there's Patrick Wymark as the Inquisitor at the end. So, great film. And finally, we'll wrap this up.